And on this Advent time, some of the images really bring the story from stories that we hear from a wide sense into a much more small, compact place. And that's where I find that it's moving for me. That's where it becomes a human issue. I think about the giant fires that we had in California, but it isn't just the fires. It's when I see a picture like this one of this church that was destroyed, where a whole town was destroyed in Paradise, California. And as you see that cross that once was up over the altar in that church, now lying there in the ashes, and you wonder, and we wonder, and they especially wonder, when, God, will our church be back? When will we be able to worship in this place, and will that happen in my lifetime? Think about this man carrying this injured child in Yemen. We can think about the war in Yemen, but it became very human when you see this injured child, and you understand that her life in that rubble of a community that once held her house and her school and her friends' houses is now destroyed. And you wonder her name, her interests. What color is her favorite color? And I think about this young girl in the Solomon Islands, and you think about her life and how her islands are going away because of the rising seas due to climate change. And there will be a time in which she and everyone there is going to have to move. And when she needs to move, who will welcome her to a new place? Who will offer her a job? Who's going to be her best friend? And I think just right across the border of this Honduran woman who has walked all the way here and now sits in a camp waiting to find out what will happen to her. Will she be welcomed into a place? Will she find work? Will she be able to provide the basic things that every single parent wants to provide for their kids? A safe place to live, good food to eat, education, and a community that could give them their lives meaning. These pictures should be right there at the center of our meditations as Christians in this time of Advent. Because Advent is the time in which we're supposed to look honestly and openly with alert hearts to what's happening all around us. It's, and I said at the beginning, it's a countercultural thing. Because the rest of the world is into Christmas mode. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. And every single thing ends nicely, right? All the specials end happily. All the problems are solved. And yet we know that's not true. This is a time of a spike for depression and for suicide attempts. And we know that for those people that I mentioned, their story doesn't necessarily end with a happy ending all wrapped up by a bow by December 24th. And so we are called to be faithful to the honest truth of that and to have a radical hope. A radical hope. Now, the word radical comes from the word radis, which means root. So radical hope means a rooted hope. It's a hope that's rooted in something that's honest and secure. And we are living in what this is the honest season. We're supposed to be telling the truth about our lives, about the world, and about the God in whom we trust. And so that's why I love that while the rest of the world is getting out the tinsel, our tree is yet bare. While the rest of the world is hanging their lights, and yes, I hung mine, we are called to be light as ourselves in the world. And we have this strange verse by Jesus. We start our Christmas preparation in Advent by hearing Jesus say, when you see all the problems and the chaos and the struggle of the world, don't adjust your set. Because that means your redemption is also right there. This is critical for us to understand. And as Lutheran Christians, it's what we bear witness to as the theology of the cross. It means that God is not just found in sunsets and in forest landscapes. God is not just found in the birth of a brand new baby and in everything that makes our hearts go feel warm. But God is actually more uniquely present in human brokenness and suffering, in places where there is no easy answer. That the theology of the cross says this is what God looks like, naked, abused, between two criminals, and says this is how much God loves us. This, the willingness to go to that length for God's love. It's in the broken places that we find our beauty. There is this Japanese art called kintsugi, and what they do is they break a piece of pottery and then they knit it back together with gold. And so it's the gold that pulls the pieces together that actually talks about this understanding of finding God or finding beauty in broken places. That's where we look for God amongst us, and that means that we need to go and to lean into our own broken places, our family broken places, and the broken places of our world. Because when we go there, we find God there. Now, that's tough to do. It's a heavy lift. I get it. It's way easier to just keep numbing out. It's a whole lot easier to put on my Spotify playlist for happy Christmas music and to do my online shopping and to ignore all the different needs of the world. And so Jesus comes along and offers us a challenge today. He says to us, don't fall asleep. Don't let your hearts become drowsy when the anxiety is enough. Don't let the news cycle and all of its challenge overwhelm you, but also don't ignore it. Instead, have radical hope in the midst of it. Stand right there and proclaim, God is in Yemen. God is at the border. God is in Paradise, California. God is in broken relationships. God is in the cancer ward. God is in depression. God is in all those places that we don't imagine God might be. And that can give us radical hope. So this is what we do. Rather than curse the darkness, we light a candle. Today we light our first candle. I strongly, if I could give you a pastoral word today, I'd say if you don't already have an Advent candle set up at your home, go get one right now. Buy 4 candles today. Put them out someplace in your house and light the first one today. As that candle burns and as we go further into the dark times of the year, we like to say that darkness does not overcome the light. Light shines in the darkness, and the darkness does not overcome it. That prepares our hearts for Christmas in a way any sort of tinsel never could. Bear witness as we sing, O come, Emmanuel. And the word Emmanuel means God is with us. That is the theology that we proclaim. God is not somewhere in the distance going to fix everything or send whammies, blessings to good and bad people. Instead, we proclaim a God that is in the midst of our lives. God who took on flesh, became human. So, these sort of images, to me, make a lot of sense. I love that this artist depicted the Holy Family as part of a migrant group seeking a new start. Because that bears something closer to the truth of Jesus' own birth. Jesus was a refugee whose family was told you needed to be counted by the government. Jesus was born to a woman who was young and having to travel, and women shouldn't have to travel in their third trimester of pregnancy. Jesus was born in homelessness because there was no room in the inn. Jesus was born and laid in a manger because because a feeding product was the best their family could do. Into that level of brokenness, God is fully present. So whatever brokenness is, know that God is still fully present. God comes to us again and again